Hello and welcome to Radio Free America. Today I am going to be debunking this video by Hunter Williams titled "I Broke North Korean Laws at Their Border." Now I have already pre-watched this video and a lot of it, maybe the majority of it, is just useless in-jokes between this guy and his friends. I don't care about that. I only care about the stuff as it pertains to propaganda about North Korea. So that's what I'll be covering. The funny part about this video is that the entire thing is based on a lie, but we'll get to that.
North Korea is one of the most dangerous and secretive places on Earth, home to some of the weirdest laws, and I'm actually about to go there and break them. To pull this off, I'll fly 15 hours to the other side of the world, spend more money than I've ever spent on a video, journey through some really strange places, and even avoid military soldiers.
So to be clear, he doesn't go to North Korea. He goes to the South Korean side of the DMZ, and that soldier that he is referring to is a South Korean soldier. But he is saying that he's going to the most dangerous place on Earth, and he doesn't even go there. Wild.
This is going to be the most insane thing I have ever done in my entire life, and the reason why I'm doing all this is even crazier. I'll explain that later.
So yeah, it's the hot dog thing, if you're familiar with that bit of propaganda. As he says, he'll explain that later. Same for me. At the end of this video, I will explain why the hot dog propaganda is just that. Fake propaganda. We'll get there.
North Korea? What?
Even North Korea? People get put
arrested,
People
dude.
get put in prison for they stay in prison there.
Yeah, so the three Stooges here, Larry, Curly, and Moe, obviously don't know what the hell they're talking about. They say that people get arrested there and stay in prison. Yep, that happens in every country on Earth. Every country on Earth has prisons, and people do get arrested when they break laws, sometimes when they don't break laws. That's not exclusive to North Korea.
They're getting really excited hearing me say all this. They can't wait to break some North Korean laws in there. Now, you're not allowed to just go into the DMZ, but I found a tour guide that can take us in.
So yeah, this is the basis of this entire video. They're going to the DMZ, not into North Korea, and they're going to break some North Korean laws. Now, they have like 20 or 25 supposed laws that they break while at the DMZ. And I looked and I tried to find if there was one singular source where they got this list of laws from. You can do something as silly as typing crazy North Korean laws into Google and see plenty of nonsensical propaganda. Shocking laws in North Korea, crazy laws only in North Korea, 30 weird laws in Kim Jong-un's North Korea, the craziest laws in North Korea, 7 crazy laws in North Korea. Like, there's endless propaganda about this. To give just one example, here is from the Infographics show, their video, North Korea's Most Unbelievable Laws. Over 2 million views on this bit of propaganda. Let me just show you their citations. I'm not going to get into the video itself. So here's their source list, and just from the URLs, I can point out several instances of CIA propaganda. There's a bunch of different daily NK links. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. If you don't know, Daily NK is funded by a CIA cutout. There's also one direct link to rfa.org, that is Radio Free Asia, and yes, that is what the name of this YouTube channel is based off of. Radio Free Asia is American state media, originally started by the CIA during the Cold War to propagandize about America's communist enemies. It's currently run and funded by Congress through the US AGM. So here is that Radio Free Asia article. North Korea stages public executions to strengthen quote-unquote social order. Now, the interesting thing about Radio Free Asia is, once again, it is American state media. The crazy thing about them is that they almost exclusively use anonymous sources. The source of this article is 2 sources who spoke to Radio Free Asia's Korean service on condition of anonymity. This is the CIA saying, "Trust me, bro." Here is the first Daily NK article that is cited by the Infographics show. It says, "Fortune teller executed by firing squad in North Korea." And very similarly to Radio Free Asia, Daily NK also uses anonymous sources. Their source is an anonymous North Hamgyong province-based person. They also don't reveal their sources. Right on the Daily NK's website, they admit that they are funded by the National Endowment for Democracy. They say they receive funding from the NED. And even Western capitalist-biased Wikipedia admits that the NED is a CIA cutout. They say upon its founding, the NED assumed several former activities of the CIA. They also call it an instrument of U.S. foreign policy helping to foster regime change. It's a regime change organization of the U.S. government. So that's where this propaganda comes from. All of these crazy laws. Vast majority of it is just straight from the CIA. Even some of the other sources in this infographics show video are directly citing CIA-funded media. For instance, this Insider article right here. Here it is from Business Insider. A North Korean woman is under investigation after saving her 2 kids from a house fire, but not her portraits of the Kim family. They are just reporting on what Daily NK said. So it's another Daily NK source. Again, Daily NK is funded by a CIA cutout. I also noticed one of their sources is an image from Reddit, preview.red.it. It's just a screenshot from a website posted on Reddit. If you look at the screenshot, it is from uscirf.gov, which is the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. So yes, they are directly citing the US government. So yeah, back to the video from Hunter Williams. I'm just showing you that as an example of where this propaganda comes from, typically straight from the US State Department, an avowed enemy of North Korea. All of these crazy laws are not real. I'm not going to go through every single law that they break in this video. I'm just going to show you a couple of the most egregious examples and show you what the source of those specific supposed laws are.
We're about to hop on one of these buses right here and cross the border into North Korea's demilitarized zone. But before we can get on the bus, there's one crucial thing that we need to grab before heading in, otherwise this whole trip would be for nothing. And that thing is a hot dog. If it sounds crazy, but a hot dog is the real reason why I'm here. Kim Jong-un just made them illegal in North Korea. So last week, I made a deal with my friend Jack, one that would force him to do something he swore he'd never do again.
So yeah, like I said, they're doing some weird in-jokes with this guy and his friends. I don't care about that part. He does show this source, and once again, I'm going to show you how this is pure fake propaganda at the end of this video, but I do want to be clear. This right here, this is the only source that he shows in this entire video. Every one of these other supposed laws, he does not provide a source for. He just says that it's a law in North Korea.
To another military checkpoint, and then Kevin explained that we're about to pass a blue line, which was the previous border between North and South Korea, and there it is. Yeah, we just drove right over it. So I guess technically we've crossed one of North Korea's borders.
So the border that they're referring to here is the original one that the US drew perfectly along the 38th parallel when they divided the Korean peninsula against the wishes of the Korean people and ended up even separating families. Let me show you something interesting. This is a booklet that was given to Canadian soldiers who were going to Korea to fight on behalf of the US Empire. In it, it has a map of the original division line. You can see it going across right here. That was the original dividing line, the border that they just passed. And again, this was drawn by the US. This book is really interesting, by the way. It has some like super racist caricatures of Korean people to teach Canadians about them. Yeah, definitely a product of its time, the 1950s.
While Drayton's distracting Kevin, I'm gonna have Ethan break the first North Korean law.
So this first law that they break doesn't specifically come from like any CIA source. It's just basically an exaggeration on the fact that some foreign media is banned in North Korea. Of course, not all of it is, but it's for good reason. Certain books could be banned, yes. Books that spread false propaganda about the DPRK, especially about its leaders. Those will be banned, for instance. Now, Western liberals like to do this Orientalism thing where they say that when North Korea, the DPRK, or China, the PRC, bans certain foreign media, that it's some suppression of free speech. Well, free speech doesn't exist anywhere on Earth, nor should it. Every country has at least some restrictions on free speech. Certain things should be restricted. I don't think that you should be able to go and try to radicalize people into being Nazis, for instance. I think that should be suppressed. Now, under socialism or communism, what is mostly suppressed is reactionary content. Under capitalism, what is mostly suppressed is communist content. Suppression of reactionary content, I think, is good. Suppression of communist content, that's bad, because communism is good. And no, if you're a Western liberal watching this, communism isn't just good on paper, it's good in practice. And capitalism isn't even good on paper. So once again, they do not provide a single citation in this video. So when I try to look up these laws, I just have to try to find something. Here's what I found. Another Daily NK article. North Korea orders campaign against young people singing songs with altered lyrics and South Korean songs. So again, it's Daily NK, funded by a CIA cutout. It's also an anonymous source. A source told Daily NK. Daily NK has learned. A source in North Hamgyong province told Daily NK on Monday.
Let me get you white, blow.
Yeah, can you line me up real quick?
Yeah, I got you, bro.
Yeah. The haircut propaganda. They're doing the haircut propaganda. This is embarrassing. For some weird reason, the West is obsessed with haircuts in North Korea. There is a ton of propaganda about haircuts in North Korea. Here's an example from Time. These are North Korea's 28 state-approved hairstyles, and they point to this picture, 18 different hairstyles for women and 10 for men. These are not the only haircuts you're allowed to get in North Korea. This is just an example of the same thing that we have in hair salons in the West. Usually ours is in the form of a magazine. It's more like a menu. You point to something on this list and you say, I want that. That doesn't mean these are the only options. These are the most common ones. The vast majority of people wouldn't stray from this. But either way, that is a pretty big variety. Now, this is some old propaganda. This specific BBC article is from 2014, 11 years ago now. North Korea students required to get Kim Jong-un haircut. This specific propaganda came from Radio Free Asia, again, American state media originally started by the CIA. That's not the only problem with this propaganda, though. Look at this, right here, back to back on a Google search. The BBC article I showed you, North Korea, students required to get Kim Jong-un haircut. New York Post, 3 years later, North Korean men aren't allowed to get Kim Jong-un's haircut. Which is it? Are they not allowed to get the haircut, or do they have to get the haircut? And of course, I'm going to recommend anyone who hasn't seen this video to watch it. We went to North Korea to get a haircut by Boy Boy. A couple of Aussie boys, a couple of Aussie comrades, go to North Korea and get whatever haircut they want. It is not one of the state-approved hairstyles. It's not Kim Jong-un's haircut.
So far, we've been able to break these laws without anyone noticing, but this time that might be impossible.
Square it off, don't round it, square it.
Look at these idiots. Look at Larry, Curly, and Mo here. You know, I'm kind of glad they didn't actually go to North Korea because, oh boy, that would have been embarrassing. This is embarrassing enough.
You own a microwave, right?
Yeah. Owning a microwave is illegal in North Korea? This is the only source I can find for that from India Times, and this actually could be the main article that these three stooges used to come up with these supposed laws in North Korea, because it does have some of the other ones they mentioned, such as foreign movies and songs not allowed, and the haircut thing is on this list. Some of the other ones that they cover is on this list. The last one here, number 21, power cut every night. North Koreans face power cuts every night due to the energy crisis in the country, and for using electricity need permission, and owning a microwave is illegal. Again, no source for this. Sometimes North Korea does have to ration power. That's because they are victimized by an international unilateral sanctions regime through the UN, spearheaded by the US, which greatly affects their ability to build out a power grid and keep it running all the time. For instance, things like fuel are banned for sending to North Korea. You're not allowed to send fuel to North Korea. As far as I'm aware, microwaves are legal in North Korea. Maybe they just don't use them? I don't know. Who cares?
It's really good.
Don't drink Coca-Cola. Oh boy, this one is interesting. So the basis of this bit of propaganda is also because of sanctions. Here's a Statista article, No Coke for Cuba and North Korea. Due to ongoing trade embargoes and sanctions, there are currently no legal avenues to buy Coca-Cola in Cuba and North Korea. Yeah, it's not illegal. It's just that Coca-Cola legally cannot sell Coke in North Korea because of these sanctions. Same with Cuba. Because of the embargo against Cuba by the US, Coca-Cola cannot sell their products there. This is such a weird thing that these liberals do. Victim blaming. You're saying that North Korea is bad because they banned Coke. No! I'm sure they would allow their people to drink Coke if there wasn't a sanctions regime levied against them by the US empire through the UN. Stop victim blaming.
Jesus wept.
Next up, Bible propaganda. There's also a lot of propaganda about Bibles in North Korea. This is also some old propaganda. Here is a News 24 article from 2014. U.S. tourist arrested for leaving Bible in toilet. It's about this guy, Jeffrey Fowle, an American tourist who was arrested by North Korean authorities for leaving a Bible under a bin in the toilet at a club for foreign sailors. Now here is something that most of the reporting you will see about this does not mention. This is the only article I can find that actually mentions it. In this Bible that this American tourist hid in a bathroom, he had written his name and phone number and inserted photos of himself and his family between its pages. Now, why would he do that? This is just an example of how this propaganda can be twisted. This guy didn't just leave a Bible. He wasn't arrested just for leaving a Bible. He was doing something nefarious. Why would you have to leave your name, your phone number, and photos of your family in a Bible if you just wanted North Koreans to read a Bible? You wouldn't do that. So what was he really trying to do? There are a lot of Christians in the world who try to push their religion onto people who they consider to be godless heathens. There is an organization called Crossing Borders that specifically claims that their mission is to show the compassion of Christ to North Koreans and their children. They're trying to indoctrinate North Koreans into Christianity. This organization specifically works with North Korean defectors, and they try to get them to see the glory of Christ. Is that perhaps what Mr. Jeffrey Fowle was doing when he left his name, phone number, and a photo of his welcoming family? Was he trying to get some North Koreans to defect and to see the truth? I swear, once you dive into any bit of Western reporting on North Korea, you see some of the most egregious spins. It's unbelievable to me. Another very easily disprovable supposed law here. Tourists can't own North Korean money. Here is a page from Young Pioneer Tours. They're one of the tour groups that take tourists to North Korea. They are talking about Rason Special Economic Zone. This is a guide for this year because the DPRK recently reopened to tourism. In it, they specifically mention that in Rason, any visitor can have access to local operated markets, open up a local bank account with a bank card, and more. They specifically take you to the Golden Triangle Bank in Rason and let tourists open a bank account and deposit money into it.
It's crazy. It's insane. The juxtaposition of Starbucks and then North Korea is kind of insane.
Yeah, I guess they recently put a Starbucks here, in case you want to sip on a pumpkin spice latte while gazing into the abyss of a dictatorship.
A dictatorship. Do these three stooges have any idea what they're talking about? I hate it so much when these random YouTubers decide to take a dive into geopolitics. Do you know what you are talking about? What is a dictatorship? Can you define what you mean by dictatorship? Because there's this weird Western liberal notion that a dictatorship is where one guy rules over everybody with an iron fist. That has never existed in human history. Even in the days of kings, they still had an entire group of people who were ruling alongside them. It's never been a thing. North Korea is democratic. They are literally called the Democratic People's Republic of Korea for a reason. And no, it's not a lie. They practice democratic centralism. They are a dictatorship. They're a dictatorship of the proletariat. That's a good thing. As opposed to a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie or a dictatorship of capital, which South Korea is. That's a bad thing. That means that capital and capital owners dictate laws, as opposed to a dictatorship of the proletariat, where the proletariat, the working class, dictates laws. This Starbucks thing is also so funny. They went to this one lookout point that has like the best view of North Korea from South Korea. And yeah, they did recently open a Starbucks there. And when they opened this Starbucks, it made international news for some reason. Here's CNN talking about it. Starbucks opens a cafe with a view of North Korea. It's so weird to me, this propaganda. They say coffee lovers with a keen interest to catch a glimpse of life in the world's most reclusive nation should get ready to travel. Starbucks has the perfect spot for them to hang. They want people to go and sip a Starbucks drink while looking at North Koreans. This is bad. Starbucks is an American megacorporation. Them opening up a new cafe in view of North Korea just shows what a puppet South Korea is. They are a puppet of the U.S. empire. And the U.S. doing this, getting their mega corporations like Starbucks to expand around the world, is just a form of imperialism. Plus, Starbucks sucks. They are extremely anti-worker. They crack down as hard as they can on people who are unionized or people who are trying to unionize. They're also on the BDS list because they got mad that their unionized members were saying Free Palestine. They tried to crack down on them for that. Starbucks is a horrible mega corporation. This is a bad thing.
Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, feast your eyes on some North Korean citizens. Okay, I really tried to get the camera to capture this, but it's impossible.
These guys are such idiots. And this is also so embarrassing for South Korea. They have this as a tourist attraction. You go and get a drink from your favorite American capitalist mega corporation to sip while you go and look through binoculars to try to find North Korean people walking around in their country. What are we doing here? What is the purpose of this? It's so gross.
These North Korean soldiers have binoculars too, so there's a really high chance that they are watching us right now, which means it's the perfect time to break our final North Korean law.
This is the best looking hot dog I've ever seen.
That looks so good.
What the hell even is this? That's a piece of bread. They're using a piece of bread as a hot dog bun. They couldn't even get a real hot dog to pretend to break a fake North Korean law. Wow. Nice job, Larry, Curly, and Moe.
Okay, before we eat the hot dog, I feel like we owe it to Kevin to come clean and tell him the real reason why we're here.
Kevin, we need to be honest with you. The reason that we came here is because our friend Jack hasn't been going to his favorite restaurant, and we made a deal with him that if we come here and we eat a hot dog, that he has to go back to his restaurant. So that's what we're about to do right now.
Awesome.
So here we go. Jack, this is for you. Ethan, you gonna take the first bite?
Yep, to North Korea.
Ah, this is so embarrassing. This guy doesn't care. Their tour guide doesn't care. By the way, it's really funny to me that they have to have a tour guide to go visit the DMZ, because that's also propaganda about North Korea, how it's required to go with a tour guide when you go to North Korea. Well, I guess South Korea has that too in some places. This guy doesn't care what these idiots are doing. He's probably secretly making fun of them. Look at this big dumb idiot. Just look at him. Embarrassing.
It's been a journey.
Thoughts? What is that?
That was not. That was actually happening. What is that? What do you think that is, that noise?
Yeah, I don't think Kevin knows what that is, and he does tours here all the time. This is one of the creepiest sounds I have ever heard. The fact that this happened literally seconds after I ate the hot dog is insane. It's insane. I guess Kim really did not want us to eat it.
This part seems pretty staged to me. Let me know if you agree with that. These idiots want us to think that someone in North Korea was watching them through binoculars, saw them eating a hot dog, and then started playing sirens. By the way, some of the people in the comments of this video talk about the sirens. This person, Instrumental Genius, says the reasons for the sirens are crazy. Inter-Korean border citizens complained of howling sirens for days on end with no stop. And there is a reason for it. North Korea plays these sirens as a psychological warfare tactic to terrorize the South Koreans. Now that also is propaganda. Of course, it's a lie. Now yes, North Korea does play eerie sounds through loudspeakers, but as always, it's a response to something that South Korea started doing. Here's an article just from last year. South Korea to resume 24/7 loudspeaker broadcasts aimed at North Korea. Both sides of the DMZ have loudspeakers that they play things through. South Korea broadcasts propaganda. They say like Kim Jong-un sucks, run away from him or overthrow him. And North Korea, in response, plays eerie sounds that, sure, maybe they terrorize the people living near the border. But again, this is part of the propaganda against the DPRK that comes from South Korea. They do something, then North Korea does something in response, and then they say, wow, North Korea is bad. For instance, they spread a lot of propaganda about North Korea doing missile tests. The vast majority of North Korean missile tests are in response to joint military drills between South Korea and the US and sometimes Japan. They always start these things. Also, the trash balloons that North Korea was sending to the South, that was in response to people in South Korea sending propaganda in balloons to the North. A different kind of trash. They would literally send the movie The Interview, the Seth Rogen and James Franco movie, on USB sticks tied to balloons over the border. That is actual garbage. If somebody sent that to me in the mail, I would throw it straight in the trash. Now finally, as I promised, I will show you how this hot dog propaganda is just that, propaganda. Here is the source of this specific propaganda. Now this was widely reported in the West. All kinds of different Western media organizations reported on this, but they were all citing this article from The Sun. Tyrant Kim Jong-un bans North Koreans from eating hot dogs for bizarre reason. Anyone caught selling them on the streets or cooking them at home risks deportation to labor camps. But eating canines is still allowed in the rogue state. Like, this is just Orientalism, for one. But again, just like Radio Free Asia and just like Daily NK, their source is anonymous, a vendor in the northern province of Ryanggang. This propaganda was also paired with something else. The dictator has also ordered divorcing couples be sent to a labor camp to atone for their crimes. Want to know what the source for that is? It's Radio Free Asia. It is an anonymous source from Radio Free Asia. A resident of the northern province of Ryanggang told news site Radio Free Asia. Now, I don't know specifically if the hot dog thing also came from Radio Free Asia, but I think we can safely assume that it did. But either way, the Sun itself is a capitalist rag. It's owned by multi-billionaires, the Murdochs. So yeah, not only is this video an absolute joke, with the three Stooges, Larry, Curly, and Moe, making absolute fools of themselves in South Korea. Luckily, again, not in North Korea itself. But the entire basis of it is a lie. A blatant, unbelievable lie. How about these slop YouTubers? Stay out of geopolitics. Is that so much to ask? Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and click the bell for notifications. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next one.